have today with us the two panelists, Mr. Ivor Gumm, who is the Technical Director of Great Goals, and Mr. Mazhar Ahmed, the AIFF Development Officer. And they'll be in conversation with Mr. Raghu. I'm sure most of you here know about Mr. Raghu, but I'm just going to do a small introduction about him. He's the founder of Goal Quiz, and he's had 16 years of experience in print journalism. He's also covered the FIFA World Cup, and he's right now the commentator with Star Sports Tamil. And I'm sure all of you are following his Goal Quiz in YouTube, in Instagram, and in his Twitter handles. So thank you for doing this with us, Mr. Raghu. We really, really appreciate it. And I'm now going to hand it over to Mr. Raghu. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandhya. Thank you for that fabulous marketing bit. I liked it. And we have an assembly of distinguished guests, one from the UK, one from Ooty, and many from Chennai, Bangalore. I'm really pleased to see all of you here for football. That's more important. And I have my reporters friends, my former colleagues, and friends forever. I welcome you all. It's Deepak from the Hindu, Srivatsan from DT Next, and Neha Surana from Deccan Chronicle. Thank you guys. Thank you for spending your time for football. It's a pleasure having you here. So I'm going to ask our keynote speaker, Ivor Gumm, to deliver his address. Before that, it's my pleasure and honor to say a few words about Ivor. Ivor is Technical Director for Great Goals Football. He has a UEFA A license, and he has worked all over the world, literally. France, Italy, Germany, Kenya, South Africa, Sudan, and the USA. And of course, India, with Sudeva Football Academy in Delhi and Raman Vidyan Soccer School here in Chennai. Now he is with Great Goals Football. He has over 30 years of experience in football, especially grassroots football. He has worked with Dutch and English FA. He primarily works the age group of 14 to 18, but he's passionate about grassroots football in general. And he has produced 5 World Cup winners. People who he has coached, have gone on to win 5 World Cups. And 9 Champions League winners, none of them from Arsenal, by the way. And 23 players who went on to win the first division in various countries. It's a staggering number. We are very pleased, Ivor, to have you here. The floor is yours. Please deliver your keynote address.
I hope everybody's safe in these crazy times with this COVID-19. It's really put a dampener on football and health and world life in general. I'd just like to start by saying that I've been fortunate to coach around the world, as Mr. Raghu said, both at grassroots level and at a professional game. In India, I worked in Delhi and Chennai. I worked in slum areas. I worked with NGOs. I worked in juvenile centres. I worked at grassroots clubs. I worked at academies. And I also did an AIFF talent identification camp when I was up in Delhi. So I do know a little bit about the processes and things that go on in India. And I want to talk about grassroots football in as such. And I just want to say a little thing about grassroots football. To me, is football for all. It's non-professional and non-elitist. And it's mainly between the ages of 5 and 16. In short, we're looking for players for everyone and anyone at any level that want to participate, want to have fun, and have what I call a love of the beautiful game. That's the driving force behind grassroots football. Grassroots football is a vital role, whether it's helping individuals or whether it's within the local communities. We can bring together players and parents, but we still help the individual, and we help the individual to become an all-round better person. whether that's physically or mentally. It's a long-term project. It isn't just a quick 5 months, play in the league, finish and go. It's something that we want to do to help develop year after year after year. We're here for young people to develop them mentally and physically. But the main thing that it's all about, as far as I'm concerned, whether it's amateur or whether it's professional, is that players have fun. If they're having fun, they'll learn and they'll develop. And we often lose that when we start to get the win at all cost mentality. And that is something that we have to and must address. It's a big, big issue within the football setup. I believe in grassroots football because I believe that we can help every single individual that comes our way. We can help them to shine in some area or another. If they do go on and play for India, fantastic, absolutely brilliant. But if they do go on and just have enjoyed their game, but then go on and get a career as maybe a journalist or a presenter or a physician, whatever, we have helped them develop as a person. And that for me is a big, big key thing. The one thing that I stress above all with everybody is that we look at the psychology. We look at the social side of what we do. It isn't just about the technical side. It isn't just about playing the game. How can we help a player? Take an under-9, for example. They have to have quick feet. They have to have all the technical abilities, but they have to be helped to solve problems. The player they're coming up against is stronger and quicker than them. How are they going to beat them? The player's right-footed or left foot. How are they going to beat them? Where's the opposition teammates? How are they going to get past them? So all these problems, they've got to solve within a second. And if we can really help them to develop and understand these problems and solve those problems, when they come to get older and they go out into the big wide world, they'll have the decision-making, the problem-solving skills already into their heads and into their brains. Okay, so looking and thinking about the question that we asked, what is the way forward? For me, the way forward is to stop looking at the biggest, the quickest, and the strongest, which is what happens a lot in India. When I was in Delhi, the leagues that we played in, a lot of the teams that we come up against had big, big, big children. What are they going to be like in 3, 5, 7 years' time? Are they going to still be as bigger than the others? If we've got a good technical little player with clever feet, Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, or have we got a good player? Give me that little clever player every time. Because when he develops and his growing spurts come on later in life, he's going to be one hell of a good player. And that's what I want. I want good, intelligent players. So thinking about it, what do we look at? Who should we pick? We should pick children who want to play. We should pick children who want to have fun. We should pick children who want to mix, want to be social, want to ask questions, want to improve. They're the children we should be looking at. Not the biggest, not the quickest, and not the fastest. So for me, it comes down to very, very simply the child that wants to play. That's it. A guy called Edson Arantes de Nascimento, Pele to everybody, said that when you play the beautiful game, you play it with a smile on your face. And I firmly believe that. And I believe that if we train the right way, we train with a smile on our face. And they're the players that we want. Thank you very much.
It was a fabulous address. If I were present in front of you, I would have hugged you. It was so good, right? I mean, that is the key. Having fun. Playing football is all about having fun at the grassroots level. That's what Pele said, Jogo Bonito. Jogo Bonito for all, not only at grassroots level, even at the highest level. No, I'm sure Messi's and Ronaldo's have truckloads of fun every day playing this beautiful game.
Yeah.
Thank you for your address, Ivor. I loved it.
Pleasure.
Okay. And I will move on to the next speaker. He's a very young man, but he has lots of experience. Don't be fooled by his experience. He's only 31, right? Mazhar, am I right?
You are.
Okay. Mazhar Ahmed Manzoor is a development officer for AIFF-FIFA Forward Project. He has worked in the IT industry. He has done courses in football economics in Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, with the help of the respective FAs.
So I'd like to thank Great Goals for giving me this opportunity to be speaking to all of you. I know I have a little bit of time, so I'll thank them personally. I'll thank all the other colleagues that I know of in my industry personally little later. That I feel are major as far as grassroots are concerned. We started the youth. We started by speaking about the youth league, which is under 13. But for the last 2 years, we've had more than 8,000 kids engaged in grassroots football via baby leagues, because we have started looking at who's playing, at an age which is under 12. We will have to focus on how the parents are going to be involved in the development of grassroots football. So what I would like to tell you is first, let's talk about the problem as such. Our education system does not have marks for sports. So I'm not going to speak specifically of football, but our education system does not have marks for health either. I know of people who used to live until 90s being healthy physically as they grew up, but then that's not the case today. Like any other subject in school, like Daniel G taught me. Daniel G has taught me something which is very, very important when it comes to development in any field for that matter. It is the process. Unless and until you can add and subtract, you can't be a great mathematician in multiplication or in division itself. I'm keeping it very, very simple here. So to focus on starting very, very early for kids and give them the opportunity to learn. I would not keep that only for football, but eventually I would say that we need to inculcate more basics, be it for boys, be it for girls. Basics is very, very important. The parents, my only message to the parents is going to be, try and give them more opportunity. Try and give them that hour of sport. Tom Bayer says that he's researching with the Harvards and the Stanfords, saying that little bit of physical activity every day stimulates the kid in doing what it does best. So during that very phase, try and learn the core competencies of your kid, or a Ronaldo or an Iniesta or a Xavi. But if we give them the opportunity, and if we find them young, we can definitely help them help them have a great platform to develop. The second thing that I want to talk is about basics. If we spoke about Messi, we spoke about Iniesta, what do they have in common? Romeo Jacques says, this is something that he spoke during the lockdown. Until 10, just focus on the basics. Don't give them exercises, or don't give them activities which are more decision making, but help them build their technical abilities. So it's a process. So once you're technically very, very good, it does not matter if you grow very or remain small. You would be able to survive in any atmosphere that is given to you. That's my suggestion for the educators who work in grassroots. For the academies who help these educators, recruitment is key. The problem that we have in India is we don't have continuity in process, because we don't have goals that basically marks that I'm trying to tell you. Try and break down each kid's goals individually, and your recruitment is going to be key when it comes out eventually. Last but not the least, culture for an academy is very, very important. We during the lockdown, we spoke to Lim Tiong Kim, who set up the AMD Academy in Malaysia. It's the only academy where I saw kids under 12 who left their parents for 3 days in a week and came and lived together as such. What he says is, when you bond kids together, when one makes a mistake, the other will cover for you, and that's something that they teach very, very very, very young. And if I'm not mistaken, last year they beat Australia. Australia is a team that eventually is technically superior than many other teams in the under 18 AFF Championship. And to beat Australia is an achievement, in my opinion. And his 5 years' work is a testament to what he's been able to achieve. Last but not the least, I'd like to pay tribute to my coaches, Salim, Cyril, and Venu. They included me not for my talent. They included me into their academies or their games, not due to my talent, just because I would be able to give everything that I had on the pitch. So I'd like to pay tribute to them. And I hope all the kids that we have around us can find educators like them, who can create a lot of players.
You gave us all a high, speaking from Ooty. You were insightful, and I knew you were a passionate football lover. I knew you were a grassroots evangelist, but I never knew that you were a sitting code box. I came to know that today. Thank you for bringing in Stanford, Harvard in your address. And now we are going to move on to reporters. They can ask questions. As a former reporter, I will open the floodgates. I was used to asking questions. I can't resist that now. Ivor, I'm going to come to you. And first of all, the man in the photo behind you is more relevant than ever. Thank you for having him there. with a raised hand.
Yes.
Ivor,
one of my favorite people on the planet.
Absolutely. Many people, not only yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's more relevant than ever in these times, in these tough times. I'm going to ask you, you have worked in India. Now you are a technical director for Great Goals Football. Before that, you worked with Raman Vijay Soccer School and then Sudeva Football Academy in Delhi. So Indian parents have this peculiar problem. They are result oriented. If they send their children to a grassroots football program, they want results after a certain period, right? I would have faced this problem. How different are Indian parents from other parents? We have worked all over the world. There's not a continent you have not gone there to teach football. Can you tell us, can you throw a little bit light on Indian parents' mentality, especially when it comes to sending their children to sport, football or any sport for that matter?
Yeah, sure. The big thing, or the big difference for me, is that Indian parents look at the quick fix. They want it to happen now. They want to see instant results. They want to see instant changes. Where a lot of particularly sports people in America would be a prime example. They understand that the process takes many, many years. And they're not worried about winning things. They like to win. Everybody wants to win. But winning isn't what it's all about. Well, a lot of things in India are all about winning things now, doing things now, seeing an instant reaction. In the continent, in Europe, and certainly when I was in America, as I said, they see the bigger picture. They see that it's going to take time. And they see the three things. They see the child developing technical skills. And Mr. Mazhar was dead right, and I totally agree with it. We should work on technical skills, technical abilities till they're 10, 12 years of age. Between 7 and 12 is the golden age of learning. It's known around the world to be the golden age. And I call the children sponges. You fire information at them and they want more. Give me more, give me more. You know, so it's really important that we understand how to develop the children. The second part is, as I've said before, it's psychological. It's how can we motivate their mind? If we can engage them, they will then really develop and become better people. And then the third thing is the social element. Do I want to work on my own? Yes, I'm quite happy to do that. But what if I work with a friend? What if I work with 2 or 3 friends? What if I work with 10 friends? And that for me is the big thing that Indian parents don't understand. It's not just football that we're working on. It's the whole package that we're helping their children to develop and become fantastic human beings, possibly like the guy behind me, as you say. So for me, it's the real thing is all about trying to be patient with what we're trying to do with the children. Because if we do it right and we do it properly and they're having fun and all the other things that I've spoken about before, we're going to give you some lovely, lovely guys to work with in the future.
Now, the floor is open to reporters. I'll start with Deepak. Deepak from the Hindu.
No, I just want to ask, it is something that has been spoken about a lot in recent times since I've started covering football. It is about having the right coaches and training the coaches to help the children at the grassroots level. So does India have, and what are the steps that are being taken to, you know, get the right kind of coaching for these kids?
Yes, sure. I mean, part of my job while I was working in Holland was coach education. So I was working, and certainly when I was in England, was coaching coaches. And for me, I say every course that I did, I say it to every coach that I meet. There are 3 questions. Did the children enjoy your session? Did the children learn from your session? And just as importantly, did you, the coach, enjoy the session? If those 3 are answered in a positive, you know that you've had a good session. Because the kids have enjoyed it. They'll want to come back again. The kids have learned things, so their parents will want them to come back again. And you've enjoyed it, so you'll want to come back again. And it's all about longevity. It's all about, can we really get them to play and enjoy this game? Because it's a great game. It's a great game. Education is a big part of what a coach has to do. And through the AIFF, and I've certainly in Delhi, when I was there, I watched a level 3 coaching course going on. Really good. Really good. Some of the detail that they're getting into, some of the things they're looking at, some of the ideas that they're giving the coaches on how to present sessions, on how to deliver a session, on how to infuse the players is a big part to it. And for me, it's what it's all about. I want coaches to have as much fun as the players, because if they are, the players are having a great time and they're learning, and that's massive. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivor. Mazhar, it's going to be an objective type question to you. Do we have enough coaches to coach coaches in India? Yes or no?
No, the answer is no. I was involved in 2014 for the first time. I'll take Tamil Nadu alone, the case of Tamil Nadu alone. 2014 was the first grassroots course that was held in Tamil Nadu, and we have a lot of schools that do not have specialized coaches who could help kids of the age under 12. We've had licenses that have been there for the rest of the ages, but they need to be people who specialize in the ages between 9 to 11 at least. I would say, I would take 2 or 3 very, very important points. I think we would have to skill the women in our country, because women are the people who generally handle the ages that we're talking about. Unless and until we can encourage more women to understand this very philosophy, we will not be able to take things forward. 8,000 kids in Tamil Nadu is a very, very small number. I'll tell you that there are 6,000 primary schools in Tamil Nadu which do not have physical educators at all. So this is one thing this is one problem that we will address very, very closely. And something that we will do at a Tamil Nadu level will be we will start bringing these programs that are there, which is the e-license, that like Ratin who heads grassroots at the AIFF had said. We will move this program into Tamil, and we will try and administer this to via the SDAT to all the government schools that are available as such. And the government has shown indications where they would like a partnership at this very level, and that's something that we have discussed. But the answer is no, we don't have enough coaches who can take care of kids. And it's not only about coaches. We need a few specialists also guiding them.
It's Stevens from DT next. Stevens, go ahead, man, with your question.
Hi, Ivor and Mazhar. Hope you're doing good and well.
Hi, Stevens.
Hi, Ivor. Before I move on to the question regarding grassroots football, I would just like to know who are the 5 players who've coached, who are the 5 World Cup winners.
World Cup winners?
Yeah.
Well, there was Roberto Carlos. There was Gianluca Zambrotta. There was Didier Deschamps when I worked at Chelsea. Flora Malouda and Marco Materazzi.
So 4 of the 5 World Cup winners have been in India.
That's right. That's right. Yes.
I told you he's a smart guy, right?
Yes, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? If we can raise the profile of Indian football like that, and the ISL are doing a great job with it, to be fair to them, it's got to be a positive.
Yes, yes. So moving on to the question, so you've been in other parts of the world as well, and in India, you worked in Delhi as well. So as far as this Chennai zone is concerned, you would have looked at teams like Great Goals, FC Madras, Chennai City, Chennai FC. So how do you rate the talent in Chennai when compared to other cities in India? Because you must have watched the nationals as well.
Oh, I think there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of interest. And the thing that excited me more than most of the years was a lot of young children who were really getting involved. And I'm talking about, your 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. They were really passionate about getting involved in this game, about wanting to really play. And at 4 or 5 different clubs that I went to while I was in Chennai, and I worked and did some coaching with them and coached their coaches and things, the attitude is terrific. There is a massive, massive potential in India. Really is. And if we can develop it in the right way, and I'm sure Mazhar and lots of other people in the AIFF have got some really good ideas on how to do it, because it's bearing fruit. While I was in Delhi for 2 years, at the end of it, I got 2 lads off to the Liverpool Foundation Academy. That's 3 years ago, and they're still there now. So they're really, really working hard at what they're doing. The attitude in Chennai was fantastic. Now, I don't know whether it's because they saw this bald little white man running around, or whether they really wanted to play the beautiful game. I don't know, but it was just so enthusiastic. And that's what we got to grasp. we grasp that interest early on in the right way, and we can really develop some cracking people. And as I said just now, if they turn out to be Indian international players in 10, 15 years' time, brilliant. Bring it on, please.
Thank you, Ivor. Thank you for the answer. Stevens, I think, I hope his answer satisfied you. Move on to the Times of India, the largest broadsheet in the world, not in India, the entire world. We have got two guys from Times of India, Sheila Saharai and Vivek. Guys, you can ask a question each.
My question is to Ivor. Like we've seen that the perception is that a lot of the top Indian players aren't willing to go abroad and play because they're stars here, they get well paid here, they're recognized. They probably don't want to move out of their comfort zones. Do you think they should like look for opportunities, even if it is in the lower divisions in Europe, if opportunities are available, rather than just looking to stick around here because they get, as I said, more better salaries and more recognition here? But what should their approach be?
Yeah, hi. I have a number of sort of answers to that question, in as much as I've always believed that one should try and better oneself. Now, it might mean that in Italy, shall we say, you have to play in Serie B or C. It might have to be, when you come to England, you might have to play in the first or second division, not in the Championship or the Premier League. If you feel that the level that you're going to is of a higher standard, and you are going to stretch yourself and you are going to learn, do so. I would temper that by saying that when I was playing, I had a number of offers to go to clubs who are in a higher league than what I was playing in, but the managers that were running those clubs and the club itself didn't have the ethos and the style of football that I like to play and I would have enjoyed. Now, yes, it would have been a higher level, but would I have really improved if I wasn't enjoying what I was doing? So there's you know, a number of answers to your question, but I would strongly suggest that if you feel that the club is right, go to a different league, try to improve yourself. You know, and I say that to you know, guys over here as well in England that I'm working with at some of the junior clubs. Go to America and try and play in the top league in the MSL. Go to India and play in the ISL. Go across to Europe and play in some of the top divisions in different countries. Because there are a lot of things out there that you need to learn. And the beautiful game is not just one. There's so many different styles and patterns to the game. Go and see what's the best for you. Stretch yourself. Be the bird and fly.
I was about to say that. Take flight, fly. Thank you.
Definitely, yeah.
We think alike. Thank you for your answer. Shilas, can you go ahead with your question? Shilas is someone who would get a story from a press conference. Everyone would be writing the same. Shilas would be writing something else. Such a driven reporter. We have a football reporter from the Times of India. Shilas, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Ivor. Hope
Hello,
you're doing
sir.
well. Yeah. For a player, how important, you know, like I understand he grows up and he tries to play for ISL and, you know, the national team, that probably his dream. But again, at one point or at one level, a player needs to play in the local leagues. But, you know, I'm just talking about, for example, in Chennai, there's no local league for 2 or 3 years now. So does that affect a player's psychology? You know, like how does it go? Like what do you, as a coach, what do you say to players? You know, when you're coaching youngsters, you probably don't have, you know, growing up, you probably just don't have a local league to play for. I mean, to play in, to show your talents. So how do you, you know, address that mental aspect to a player when you don't have a league? Or I mean, it's an exception that you don't have a league here, but then how do you address this issue?
Yeah, I had a similar issue when I was in America. I went and worked in a state of Minnesota. Minnesota is up on the Canadian border. It's for 8 months of the year, it's under snow. So the actual getting yourself out on green grass and playing and practicing, etc., is very difficult. And they're into ice hockey, they're into basketball, they're into lots of other sports, more so than what they call soccer, which is a strange word that I don't try and use if I can help it. We play football, you know, let's get it right. What I said to them was, and it was a couple of guys, they were at a local college. They were 18, 19 and 20 years of age. And I just said to them, okay, get yourselves 11 friends and then go on to another local college, go and say to them, get a team up and we're going to play. And we're going to try and play a number of different colleges. And then we're going to try and play, and so on and so on. And these guys then, you know, they phoned me back, or they FaceTime me 2 years later, and they'd set up their own leagues. Yes, they're only friendly leagues, but when it come down to it, they did rather get competitive about it. There's no two ways about it. I mean, you know what the American guys can be like when they start getting going. So it's, you know, firstly, if there isn't a league, get some friends together and play. But secondly, when you've got guys like Mazhar around who are really trying to do things in the area the right way, ask them questions. Because if they can help you, I know from my contacts that I've had with the AIFF and that, they are really passionate about getting things happening and doing things. You know, so probably, you know, Mazhar should be more to get involved in this question.
Yeah. Thank you, Ivor, but I will not get Mazhar started on this. I mean, we can talk forever. I mean, and, you know, it was a pertinent question. I have to...
One sentence. One sentence.
Only one sentence, yeah.
Yeah. Chennai is not the only league in Tamil Nadu.
Okay, take note, Coimbatore, Madurai, Tiruchi. You have to do it on your own. And actually, I wanted to add on to Jilla's question. It was a very good question, because after this academies, you play under 13, under 15, I League, AIFF, I League, all these academies, Great Goals, FC Madras. But when they need real competition, when there is no local league, they are left out. No, I mean, they're left stranded. That's a tough league. I mean, I have covered it for 15 years. I can tell you, even the lower division in Chennai prepares you for the struggles ahead. Yeah. You meet different varieties of players, not the academy type players who learn it on their own. So that experience is vital for academy players to grow in football. Unfortunately, in Chennai, in the last 2 years, we have not had the league. That's a topic for another day. I will move ahead to Shankar is smiling. He knows better. Former FIFA referee. You can talk to him. Priya and Sandhya, you can arrange a session with Shankar some other day about local football.
So the Indian football's team women's team had a spectacular year in 2019, and then actually they've been doing better than the men's team. But then they don't get enough credit. Generally, all around the world, the women in football haven't been recognized or given the due credit which they have, which they deserve. So, and there has been discrimination. And when do you think, the women will actually, women in sport, in football, will become as popular as men?
The thing that I have a very strong passion about. My daughter was a football player. At the age of 11, she was told that she could no longer play in the boys' teams that she played in because she was a girl. I took the English FA to the Court of Human Rights, and we had some heated debates about it. It's important that we realise that women play the beautiful game as good as we do. I mean, I watched the Women's World Cup and I loved it. There is no difference. A good football player is a good football player. And we should recognize that. They are good as some of the technical abilities you see some of these women play. It's superb, it's great. No different to what the men do. It's just this conception that we have that we are better.
Thank
Now,
you.
why alienate 51% of the population? Because there are more women on the planet than there are men.
We can move ahead to the academy. Now I invite a Bapa of Roots Academy, Bengaluru, to highlight a challenge he feels very passionate about. That is winning or talent development. Bapa, the floor is yours.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's been good hearing to all of you. Just to give a background about Roots, I think we are a 12-year-old organization. We have been working in grassroots in India for the last 12 years. I think when no one had heard about baby leagues in India, we ran baby leagues, I think, from 10 years back. I think we've been running baby leagues for 10 years. So I think, yeah, it's been a long journey. And I think things have changed. I think AIFF has put in some amount of
just
effort.
A second, can you give some headspace? I can't see headspace.
Can you now see me?
Yeah.
Is it better?
Still no, your head is getting cut. Can you come? Can you just? Yeah.
That's better?
Yeah, great.
Great. Now you can see me? Great. Okay. So as I was saying, so we've been around for a very, very long time. I think now AIFF has put in a lot of things in place, which has made, let's say, football at the grassroots level more competitive oriented, where there are more competitions. And I think this has led to a big problem in our, I think Ivor has been talking about mindsets. I think, there's a lot of confusion among a lot of academies in India. I think what we really want to do, is it winning or is it talent development? I think we're confused. We're a very confused lot, I think winning is important because I think 80% of the accredited academies in India are driven financially by what the user come and pays them. So hence the winning is, unless you win, there's no brand for you in the market, which means you do not get subscribers. So hence talent development takes a backseat because as of now, I don't think so there is any system in place that compensates in India for talent development, which is not there, unlike in developed football economy. So how does an academy progress? How do we take a call now? Because at the end of the day, or if I have to hire you, I need to pay your salaries, and that salary comes from people coming and joining me. So how do we take how do we break this, let's say the challenge that we have with us?
Very pragmatic question, Ivor. I would like to hear your answer. I'm very eager.
Yeah. As I said earlier on, it's the mindset that we have certainly in America, certainly in Europe. The mindset isn't about winning. The mindset is about development. The mindset is also about how we develop individuals, units and groups of players, and teams and squads. If we win as well, great. That's the icing on the cake, if you like. That's the cherry on the top. Well, in India, it is, as you rightly say, it's about winning. What we have to do, and it's a long-term project, it can't happen overnight, it's not going to just be that quick. We have to try and get our sponsors to understand what we're really about. Are we, as a club, here for 5 months to win this little mini league? Or are we here as a club to be here like your good selves 10, 12 years because we want to develop players, because we want to get the bigger picture going? It's a difficult mindset to change around. Because as you rightly say, there's a lot of, in India, about, it's all short term, we want to win now.
Thank you, Ivor. Mazhar, winning or talent development? Can you give us a brief answer?
In my experience here, I've seen various, and winning is motivation. It's about this is why I say that we need to build a philosophy as such. Winning, unless and until you have winning a game, even in training, you don't do well. I'm talking to you about me being an athlete and what motivated me. But eventually, unless and until you break your goals up, make those goals small and sustainable as such, unless and until you can do your training well, if you're not winning in training, you're not winning your games as such. So winning is very, very important. However, I think the problem here is not winning, but short-sighted approach to things. This is what I would like to put it across, rather than saying that winning is wrong. The baby league,
important, rather. Winning is not important, rather.
Yeah. So the baby leagues eventually is a platform. It is a competitive platform for you to come and play, so that you're training the rest of the week as such. That's the reason it's spread across 90 days. So you have to have a philosophy first. Like I spoke about this initially as well. There can be coaches. Let me look at it from a different angle. There will be coaches who will want to fix your weaknesses. There will be coaches who want to fix or to better your strengths. What do you do? At what age do you do this? At the grassroots level, I would definitely recommend try and build on your strengths, because when you grow up, there are going to be so many coaches who are going to work on your weaknesses as such. Break down that to goals and say that at 6, this is the level of player that we want to create. That should be the philosophy of your academy as such. And eventually, if you're not going to be winning games, the sponsors are not going to bring you in any revenue as such. So that's my take on.
And now Joseph of SC Madras. Joseph, I'm sure you'll not talk about lack of infrastructure, lack of a stadium. You have a beautiful stadium in Chennai. So please go ahead with your spotlight subject. This is survival and sustenance of grassroots football during COVID-19 and after COVID-19. Please go ahead.
Fine. See, I think it actually drives down from the previous questions. Like Bappa has already said about academy being running for 12 years and how do we take it forward and such. Now, we've been running from 2006 onwards. It's like 14 years now. And we have progressed bit by bit in terms of how we shaped our academy in terms of competitions, training methodologies, philosophies. So we've also evolved. We all evolved in this last 14 years. Now, whatever we are discussing till now is like, one is winning. We're looking at winning. Now, winning again, I would say in grassroots, winning is very key, very the most essential for the player. For the kid, there's no fun in playing unless he wins. The whole fun element comes from winning the game. So I would say winning is the first thing which comes to his mind when a player plays the game. He wants to win, and that's where we have to differentiate and categorize what is the objective for the player and what is the objective for the club. The academy, you're not looking at winning as the first priority. You're looking at the player development as the first priority. And for the player, winning is the most fun part. That's why he's playing the sport. And our job as an academy, how do we establish a system, find a system where the player gets an opponent at his level, at any age group, at any level he plays, even from a beginner, from an advanced level, you have to find a team to play against. And that is where I was thinking about, I was questioning about how do we build a system? How do we build a system in terms of a sustainable system with the current model? I'll tell you an example in terms of what Papa said. It is primarily a user-based system. All over India, you look at the grassroots. You look at the grassroots system in India, you're looking at primarily user-based system. We're looking at subscription-based system, and that's where the whole objective for the club changes over a period of time, whether you want to win or you want to develop players. Now, this is where I think probably Mazhar is the right person to answer in terms of how do we establish a system which is sustainable for the grassroots academies. We're looking at 200 academies who are playing in the youth league in the country overall as of now. And 2014-15 when it started, I think we had around 40-45 academies. And we are looking at 20,000 clubs, academies registered in England. in England, that smaller country, and that's not the place which is like benchmark. They are still struggling to catch up with the Dutch and the Spanish and the Germans. And we are still long way ahead, long way to go in terms of establishing a framework where the kids come and join the neighborhood academy. The neighborhood academy actually feeds in the children to another academy who is specialized to categorize certain type of children. I mean, the better ones. How do you filter on, and then it moves on to a system where the AIFF or the federations take care of those children. So we're looking at a long chain, and the basic challenge here is the sustenance. Sustenance is like not many academies are able to sustain beyond 1 year, 2 years, because it's still driven by a coach who is like surviving on the fee, or surviving on a subscription-based model. Now, we still not cracked the model yet, but what I have seen over the last few years, at least from 2014-15, AIFF has a lot of initiatives in terms of the baby leagues and the youth leagues. As you said, from 2006 till 2014 or so, we are still a training academy where there are no matches, there are no competitions, there is nothing to play for. I mean, we just train for what? And 2014 is when the club actually got a clear objective in terms of a clear guideline in terms of, okay, what do we train for? I mean, we train for a competition which is like the youth league, under 16s, and then it became under 13s, under 15s. So there is a little bit came up, but still a long way to go. And and again, I'm just giving you a little bit of an overview in terms of how we have come from there. Baby League again is a very good initiative, but still, as I said, as Mazhar said, 8,000 children in Tamil Nadu, that's minuscule. It's too small a number. Too small a number to talk about. We are talking about 90,000 grassroots registered academies in England, 19,000 academies, 90,000 teams registered in England. There, how many? I mean, you imagine the number of children who are playing, who are registered with the club. Now, this is where again, all the answers. I don't know the answers. We are just going with the flow. Whatever resources that we have in hand, we're trying to establish that. Now, the federations, the government is where has to step in, because this has to be driven by the top. It has to be a top-down driven approach where the government, the FA, the federation takes call in terms of how the kids are going to move from this academy to the academy, and the registrations, accreditations. Yeah, Mazhar, probably you can throw some light on what are the plans ahead, and how do we go forward from here?
What would you suggest to Indian academies? You have seen the way our academies function. What would be your one piece of advice or suggestion to Indian academies to make it sustainable? Mr. Joseph was talking about sustainability. Now we have another challenge after COVID. Okay, the sponsorship would come down drastically. Even the little sponsorship they were getting would be affected post-COVID. So could you give us answers for that? General advice to academies to make it sustainable, and then the background of COVID-19 and after post-COVID-19, how challenging is it going to be?
Okay, there's a little thing while Joseph was talking there that came into my head. A guy called Johan Cruyff, when he started as his managership at Barcelona, came out with a little saying about results without quality is boring. Quality without results is meaningless. So he's getting that balance that's the big thing to it. You know, yes, there's nothing wrong with winning. But in most games of football, there is one team that wins as one team that loses. Now, what we've got to try and do is we've got to appreciate that winning isn't the be-all and end-all, that we can't win every game. What we've got to understand is how can we help those children that we're looking to look after to even get positives and pluses out of losing. That might be that they've done something really well during that game. The goalkeeper has made 3 or 4 great saves, but they lost 1-0. Now, does the goalkeeper remember the one that went in? And Mazhar will know this because he played in goal. Or does he remember the 4 or 5 really good saves that he made? You know, so we've got to get this balance right. And we've got to get the understanding right in what we're trying to do. There's nobody that wants to win more than me. When my children were a lot younger and we used to play Monopoly at Christmas, I used to be the banker. If I wasn't winning, I'd cheat to win. I want to win. Yeah. But I've got to look at it from the whole perspective of we want to develop players. And it's not by winning everything. I have loads and loads of friends over here in England, in Europe and in America, and there's one or two in India as well, who have cupboards full of trophies. When they won little five-a-side tournaments, little six-a-side tournaments, little mini leagues and things. But they didn't go on and fulfill their true potential because the coach didn't ignite the right ideals in them. They went on and found other things and did other things. So, you know, I still get concerned when we talk about how winning is the big thing. Yes, it's important. Yes, it brings in sponsorship. But also what brings in sponsorship is if you do the development right. And if you have a long-term plan with your sponsors who understand what you're trying to do. And that's one of the big things, I think, when we come back to what we were talking about right at the very beginning, the way forward for Chennai, I do strongly believe that that's one of the areas that we've got to get the people to understand. Now, going back to Joseph and looking at how it's going to develop, it sounds, and I don't know, Joseph, apologies, I don't know you, and I don't know your club in any great detail, but what I would suggest is that what you're doing already sounds good, and you've got to build on that. Now, build on it by possibly becoming a partnership with a senior club that you can then put your players through and help them develop into adulthood. To look to develop more so in a bigger area, in what your sphere is all about, to really nail that and get that so that you are the elite of that, what you're trying to do. I always get people to try and aim for perfection. If we only aim for good, then we might get not bad. But if we aim for perfection in what we're trying to do and we get excellent, that's got to be a few steps up. So it's thinking about how you can really develop it. Now, as with Mr. Raghu and COVID-19, well, who knows to a great degree. You know, it's such a massive hole that it's left. Do we go back to where we were, or do we try and develop areas that we can really think that we can work on and have the expertise to really develop it? And that's the key to it. And we need to talk to Mazhar sir and really get an understanding from the AIFF and from government of what they really want us to do and how they want us to do it. Because without the guidance from above, we can come up with loads and loads of ideas, but will it really work?
Thank you, Ivor. Thank you for the detailed response.
Raghu, I'm sorry. I just, since there's this thing about this, since it's discussing something that my question itself spread out thing, I just wanted to ask Mazhar a question. When he talks about baby league, in terms of it also, I just wanted, this is something that I wanted to understand. A baby league has, let's say, if you're playing a 5-a-side football tournament, a 5-a-side, let's say typically it's, let's say for under 11, let's say it's 7-a-side, and you have 11 players on the team. Now, to create a winning attitude, what happens typically is a coach plays only 7 players and the 4 other players sits on the bench. What ultimately leads to is basically, it leads to coach basically making sure he protects his job and he wins the game, whereas 4 players give up football. Is that the way the baby league has been internationally? Is that how it's been actually been planned? Because I know, because baby league basically means it's a way of participation. There's nothing about meaning there. There's no thing about winning. I know a lot of baby leagues across the world don't even give winners trophies because it's not about winning. In India, again, the entire concept of baby league has been tweaked again to apply to our own sensibilities, which is about winning. This is just a question to Mazhar. I wanted to understand this.
Baba, fantastic question. Mazhar would say, I didn't, it was not my brain state.
No, absolutely not. I would take full responsibility for it.
No, you can answer Baba's question. Mazhar, just give me a second. You can answer Baba's question briefly, please, because we have another academy. And also answer Joseph's question. Both of them briefly.
So my answer to Joseph's question is, India shouldn't waste a good crisis in COVID. We should as a sports community come together, and we have to understand the structure first. In India, sports is a state subject first. So my question to the academies or schools who are in sport is to ask them one primary basic question: is the sport budget reaching you, or are you any part of the sport budget? Because you're a registered entity and under the AIFF, and there are multiple things that have to come with it. In my 2 years as a development officer, I have studied models of youth development, be it the USA, be it Japan, be it South Korea. All these guys, a sport is highly subsidized, and when for Indian parents, to be very, very honest, education in India is very, very expensive. I have to tell you the truth there. It is very, very expensive. And the model that we are saying is the pay and play model as such. I don't think is a very sustainable model, because eventually, like the crisis that we are currently in is going to take a lot of kids off that very pitch if we continue to do what we are doing. To answer the best models that are there, the government eventually facilitates sport development by helping assist competition. Is our government doing that? That's a question for the academies to answer. Let me quickly come to Bapa's question. See, a 7-a-side baby league model currently with 4 substitutes is for rolling substitutions. We don't say that the kids will go ahead and play the entire game only with 7 players as such. This is where, as an academy, if you're running a baby league, you come up and say, if we are going to break break the game into 4 quarters or 2 halves, the same guys cannot go ahead and participate as such. At the same time, you should understand one more philosophy as such, or one more bit of study that I have come across. It's called the second or the younger sibling philosophy as such. Usually, the younger kids in a family eventually become better talented performers. Do you come to us and say that the parents have tried to take care of those kids better, or the younger kid better? The answer is no. They get to play with better talented kids, right? Their sibling is far better or stronger than the younger kid, and that eventually brings out the talent as such. You would also see that in India we are talking about kids being born in after September, featuring more in the youth leagues. Hence the TW3 test and an effort to try and change the system. But unless and until we go ahead and give them that opportunity at 6, 7, 8, I would say, yesterday when I was listening to a coach who's working in Qatar, he says that they're training 7 hours a day. Tell me which academies train 7 hours a day. We don't have access to that kind of infrastructure in India. Though the infrastructure is readily, it's physically available, we don't go ahead and use it. So my suggestion would be, we have to think logically and not subjectively. That's my answer to Bappa. Thanks.
Thank you, Mazhar. As gracious host, great goals are coming last in this spotlight session. Priya of Great Goals Football, please go ahead. Her topic is creating a player-centric approach. Yeah.
So hi everyone, my name is Priya and I'm one of the co-founders of Great Goals. So many topics here that were so relevant, including Neha's question about women in football. So whichever aspect of football, whether you're a club owner or whatever it is. So for us, I think all the challenges are extremely relevant and it's something all academies will face. Including Bappa's question about the baby league. It's a point of great debate in our office. But for us, when we started Great Goals in 2013, it was a small program with 2 age groups, and our key objective even then was how do we keep football, and when we started our basketball program in 2015, how do we keep both these sports player-centric? And what does that mean? For us, that means a culture that is built on excellent skills, fun, very important, respect, not fear, that a player plays and does what is expected of him out of respect and not out of fear, and allowing the player to make decisions and problem solve. And so we've tried a few things over the years, and with our own coaches, and we're very privileged to have Ivor Gumm as our technical director and coach mentor and coach educator. And we've tried to bring in a lot of player-centric approaches. All the things he spoke about are part of our coach education. And one of the things that I find has been also very helpful is we've brought in teachers from progressive schools to work with our coaches. Again, the whole result-based scenario is up for discussion, and it will be an endless discussion. But it's something that for us it is: do we see improved players? Do we see improved tactics? And does this result in some trophies? And we have a shelf full to show that the the approach is working. And through creating platforms, that's something we've also tried to do. We've run 3 baby leagues, and like Roots, we've run a baby league from the year we started in 2013. And our annual Great Goals football tournament is the biggest in the city. Last year, we had 780 players participate, all under the age of 12, all under the age of 15, sorry. And we are looking to build partnerships with smaller clubs like HUC and try and bring this player-centric approach wherever we can. But I really feel it's not enough. How do we make this more widespread? How do we keep spreading the circle of influence? Because like everyone has spoken, unless the kids are enjoying themselves, playing with freedom, grassroots football is going to again be circumscribed by everything that adult football gets circumscribed by.
Ivor,
thank you.
For you. Thanks, Priya, for your question. Ivor?
Yeah. Well,
go ahead,
well Priya and I speak about this many, many times. It is that both of us have to a degree. What are we there for? And it comes back to the same thing that I said right at the very beginning. What are we here for? We are here in grassroots football to develop players, to develop people. And it's all about that development. It's all about their social skills, about their psychological, their emotional well-being. Yes, the technical and the physical are there. If we teach them about their body, what to eat at the right time, when to sleep. We are an entertainment sport. If we get to lucky enough to get to the stage where we're playing in front of 100,000 people, great, we're entertaining the crowd. When I play, I want to have fun with that ball. I want to have that ball at my feet, and I want to be able to do something clever with it. I want to be able to do something, and everybody goes, oh, Ive, that was brilliant. If at the end of it, whether it's a training session or a match, we win, great. If we don't, we must help these players to develop as a human being, as people, and grow. Make this flower become a fantastic big bush or this little tree becomes a huge, great oak tree or whatever. We must give them the opportunity to be the best that they can. And that's not just the 7 that start and play all the time. That's all 11 in the squad. Every single player must have the opportunity to show us something really good. And that must happen every training session, every match.
Ivor spoke so well, and he has saved me from elaborating on what he spoke and Mazhar spoke over this course of this webinar. I'm not going to take much time in summing up. I would rather say Ivor has spoken extensively on what should be the theme of grassroots football. That is fun, having fun, overall development, not putting a lot of stress on winning. But at the same time, as Mazhar pointed out, winning is also important for our Indian psychology. That is also important. So I think grassroots academies have to come up with their own indigenous solutions for problems, for challenges. We have to consider the socio-economic background of our players. Who else can have a better idea than Indian coaches and Indian academies to know more about the background of players, why he is behaving like this, why is he having problems in doing this. You may have to prop that further, and one size doesn't fit all. What is working in Kenya or Sudan or the Netherlands or Italy might not work here. As Ivor may have told you, we have to come up with our own solution within a broad structure. Am I right, Ivor?
Definitely. Yeah.
So that is the key. I hope that would be the takeaway. Fun is the fundamental element of grassroots football. I hope everyone would agree with that. At the same time, our mentality is different. It can't change overnight. So we also give importance to winning, result-oriented training. Our parents, even our children are tuned to behave in that way. I mean, to believe in that concept. I need to get something after working hard for 6 months, 1 year. Maybe that should not become an obsession. That can be a carrot, but it cannot destroy your character, your talent, the fun you have on a football ground. I think that pretty much sums up what Ivor and Mazhar said. I hope all of you would agree. And I have a couple of interesting questions. Priya and Sandhya, do you have time to ask a couple of questions to Ivor? They can be brief. We can take the questions and then eat our lunch.
We have 6 minutes to wrap up. So I think we can take 2 questions, Raghu.
Yeah. Manish asked one important question: is overcoaching a problem? Ivor, this question is to you. After 1966, England has not been able to win the World Cup. Many people say one of the reasons for that is overcoaching. You kill creativity of your players, unlike the South Americans or even in the Netherlands. You do tell youngsters, do this, do that, don't dribble, pass. Is that a problem in India or in our country?
There's an interesting article that Pep Guardiola did, and he was asked the question, why has he come to England? Because they haven't won the World Cup since 1966. And his answer was that they overcoach. And he's absolutely right. We, particularly in England, get into systems and patterns too early. We don't allow children, and I firmly believe it should almost be up to 14 years of age, to just play, but learn the technical skills. So they can almost do these skills blindfolded. They can almost do these skills in their sleep and then look to get into systems, patterns, team shapes, all the rest of it. You know, you look at the South Americans for a prime example. You look how fluid they are when they move and how they run. Then you look at us from the British Isles here, you know, we're are rigid, you know, with this rod of iron down our back. We stand and we march and we do all this, why can't we just move and enjoy it and have fun with it all? You know, and I think that a lot of that is really now starting to come out in India. Certainly when I was in Chennai, there was a lot of interest in the younger children, as I said earlier on. And they are massively just want to play. They just want to get a ball at their feet and have fun with it. And yeah, can I do a little trick like Messi? Can I do a little dribble like Ronaldo? Can I have a shot and stick it in the top corner? All these clever little things the kids want to do.
Yep.
And the more that they do it, the better, especially at a younger age. You know, we've seen lots of clips of children in India since COVID-19, and they're doing all these little tricks and things in their little alleyways at their housings, in their back gardens, in their little porch areas, and so on and so on. That's what we want. You know, there was one I saw on YouTube where there was a lad, and I think he started a couple of meters away from a dustbin, and he flicked the ball into it. Then he went a couple of meters further back, and then he flicked the ball into the dustbin, and he went, and so on and so on. And it was great. It was brilliant. You know, the more we get things like that happening, the better.
Thank you, Ivor. And football, after all, is a creative pursuit. So why kill creativity? You know, it is the bread and butter of the game, right? You know, at the highest level, you need to come up with solutions, and there is no space, no time. That's creativity. That is an excellent answer, Ivor. And I'll take another question from the previous question was from Manish over coaching. Now I'll go to Bhagavadiraj. He's asking, is playing experience important to coach at grassroots level? I hope Mourinho is not on the webinar. Playing experience.
It's not the be all and end all. I think a lot of it, you find a lot of players who get into grassroots coaching who can only coach what they saw, can only coach how they were coached. Where coaches should really be so open-minded is frightening. You know, I'm very fortunate over my career that I've got lots and lots of coach friends. Probably more so from basketball, rugby, hockey, other invasion games, not just football. Because if you understand what an invasion game is all about, you can understand how to bring it into football. But my main area is that you must understand what the children are all about. You might have a great message to give, but if that message isn't received, you're wasting your time. So it's, do the players understand what you're trying to give them? And a lot of coaches don't understand that. The coach thinks it's all about me. Look at me, I can do this, I can do that, blah, blah, blah. But the kids just, nah. I want to do that. Give me the ball, let me have a go. And that's what it's got to be all about. We have a saying about let the game be the teacher. I think yes, to a degree, but I think also a good coach is the one that just gives little information while the kids are playing that little game that they're having. Just to give them a little bit of guidance, just to give them a few ideas to think about how to do something and win the game. My team wins 7-6, I'm happy. If my team wins 1-0, I'm happy, but I'm not as happy. Yeah?
Okay. That was a rugby score anyway, 7-6. Mourinho would kill his defense. I cited Mourinho because he won 2 Champions Leagues without much substantial coaching playing experience. That's why I brought his name in. And our final question is to Mazhar. Mazhar, Sushant Sharma from Delhi and even Bhagavadiraj asked this question. We are talking about academy, football development in city. What are we doing to develop talent in rural areas? In India, we have a lot of talent in rural areas. What are we doing? What is the way forward? This is a positive webinar, so give us some hope, light.
Mr. Raghu, it's a very difficult question when you come to watching what's happening rurally, because like we discussed the Chennai League is not a Chennai League. A lot of rural talent is coming into Chennai and playing in Chennai as such. there are multiple SDAT centers across, but how many games are they eventually playing? The solution over here is very simple. We will have to go ahead and make sure that games happen rurally as well, where there is access provided to rural kids as well. And the state league that we started last year is a prime example as such. The baby leagues, yes, they are having an impact rurally as well, but the state league as such, it will have to be broken down into 4 parts, at least in Tamil Nadu to start off with, and it will have to be played in other parts of the state as well. That's the roadmap. But unless and until we have accountability for those games, the way that they are conducting, unless and until we form some rigid regulations to go ahead and make sure that these leagues happen in the best way possible as such, this can't happen. There is another very beautiful project that the government of Tamil Nadu actually had put together pre-COVID, because I'm a big fan of the program that they have. I'm not a fan of how they implement it. I know they have a very, very beautiful program in theory, but in practical there is a problem is what I feel. But for the sports minister to come and say that, see, if we go ahead and do an inter-panchayat games, yes, football is not on the table right now, but if we are doing that, would you have the bandwidth to give us match officials to tell us if this facility is good enough? Because according to their survey, there are more than 7,000 football pitches in Tamil Nadu, but that's not the kind of results that we are seeing on the ground. That very clearly says that the games are not happening, the opportunities are not being given. So when you have that kind of infrastructure, I would only say that we will have to make a private and a public partnership to go ahead and deliver these kind of programs. And when you say that you have to play for the Indian team, you cannot say that every state will do its part. There will be pockets that will do well, and we will have to focus on building that team that we field from these very pockets. Now it completely depends on which pocket actually performs.
Thank you, Mazhar. Now time for vote of thanks. Sorry guys, I have not taken a couple of questions. I have nothing against you. This is the only problem, time. Otherwise, I would have taken the questions. Thanks a lot. And now Priya and Sandhya, are we done? Can we go ahead to vote of thanks? Over to Sandhya.
Thank you all. It's been a great afternoon, and I'm not going to take too much of your time, but I would like to thank Bapa from Roots. Thank you so much for agreeing to come here and speak. Joseph from FC Madras. Thank you to all the reporters who came and all the other coaches. I can see players, other academies. It's been wonderful having you here. Thank you, Mr. Bhagwati Raj, coming for being here, Mr. Shankar, and of course our wonderful panelists, Mr. Ivor and Mr. Mazhar. It's been a great afternoon. I don't think I've spent any better afternoon than this. It's been wonderful having you here and having these discussions going on. And of course, I have to thank Mr. Raghu for coming up with this idea and this thought process.
Thank you all. Thanks for taking part.